Good morning, traders. Welcome to the daily webinar. This one will also be on YouTube. So for my YouTube viewers, if you like it, please share it. You can click the likes, make your comment, leave your questions. I got a lot of feedback from you guys, still getting requests for the continuation of that live session that we did, the 2 live session daily. I will consider it maybe next week. If I have a lot of free time next week, we'll probably repeat it for you guys. So stay tuned, set up the notification. If I'll do it, I'll probably post something on Friday and I'll post the link on Friday. So you will know that if you're getting it for next week, it's going to be a whole week. So you register in time and you know how it works. It's going to be an open link. So when you register, the link will show you 1 a.m. London time. That's not when the webinar is going to be because that confused a lot of people the last time. I will tell you the times of the session. It's going to be London session, New York session, just like we did the last time. Please share it. And if I do decide to do it, you'll get it on Friday and then you can share it. All right, let's go. We're in dollar index. Good morning once again to all of you. Let's start. So dollar index, it's going up. It's going up a little higher than we thought it will go up. We know it's an up move. It's a little higher, what that means? That means when they come back to the top here, you're not thinking of this downside. Although we broke the top of the weekly, we're thinking of a possible flat forming here for more upside. Right? So in this flat, we have 1 piece, 2 piece. Now, if we had a sharp wave somewhere here, this could also be a running flat for upside. Now, we do have a sharp wave here, right? This was pretty sharp. We didn't have anything for that at the time because we took this for all the consolidation. Now, because this is patterns and pattern recognition, which means we look at patterns the way we understand them, right? We looked in the past, see all the patterns, all the variations, and we decide which of these pieces makes a perfect pattern. This, for example, is pretty clear. These are pretty clear. These are pretty clear. And they actually do exactly what you expect those patterns to do, right? So when we got these smaller patterns, we expect them to go up. And this bigger one expect to go up. And then you get a set of smaller ones expect to go up. So that is clear. These are patterns you recognize. They go their way. These are the 90% that goes exactly how it is. There are times when you have something as confusing as this. This is a pattern. We know there's a consolidation here. It's not a very clear pattern. Let me put it that way. If you try to go in here, you will get the little bits and pieces. But this piece here, I thought this would probably break the top from this point. And then they come lower. That is okay. That's just a continuation of the pattern. By itself, this did exactly what you expected to the breakout. What we didn't expect that to do, like this one, breakout go, is come back this deep. Now, when they come back that deep, there are 2 things you can do. You can relook at the entire pattern, see whether that piece fits into the previous patterns, right? Because of the fractal nature of the market, it could be that it's part of that pattern. We used to call that the fool me flat. My traders would know. Where we have seen this happen many times, you have a perfect flat, you break out, and then you come right back here and then go. Normally, when they come back in a fool me flat, we break the low and then we go. That is the one we call the fool me flat. Now, what we find out is that many of the fool me flats are just expanding flats, complex expanding flats, which is okay. You can keep it as fool me flat because they have slightly different structure from the regular expanding flat. So we go with the fool me flat, and that's okay. It's just the kind of way that you're being fooled by it that is breaking out and it came back. It's part of a pattern that happens. This one doesn't really fit that category. So what we were looking for is a sharp move like that here. And the only sharp move you have is this. So we can decide at some point that this is a running flat and this will break the top. Now, if it does break the top, you still have to keep an open mind that it could be a running flat, come back here and go up again. But in case of a running flat, or in the case that it's going to drop from there, once you break the top, you start to look for this sell setup, either for a running flat or for a total downside. Like we did when we broke this top, we start to look for the sell setup, either for a bigger correction or for total downside. Because the first move is downwards. It doesn't matter which one it's making. You don't know which one it's making. So now we're open to 2 things at the point here. We're open to this either coming back down from here. Any flag here would be a sell, any flag would be a sell, any flag would be a sell back to the low here. And at this point, 2 things can happen. It can continue to go, or it can go back up. But these are the trades we'll be looking for this week. What if it goes up higher? Well, the only time I'm going to be buying this is if I actually get a flag like this. I mean, a really serious consolidation that could give me break even if they do this in reverse. So if I get something that is going to give me an impulse this size, Great, I can get break even out of that, which means if I'm wrong about it, we can get the hell out of it and then look for the sell setup. See? Those are the complexities of wave analysis. When you are in a point where the pattern is incomplete and there are many variations that could develop from this point, you don't stop trading. You trade in a lower time frame, knowing that if you're taking this trade, these are the risk level and how you manage those risks. See, pretty easy. It's not that complex. And the difference from what we do from what most Elliott waivers would do is they determine you had an ABC and we're going up. We decide, nope, it could be ABCD, it could be the XYZ, it could be a whole lot of different, it could be the whole alphabet if you want. It could stay here for 3 years. So you don't decide what pattern the market is making. You follow it, you analyze it, you try to recognize it, and then you said, okay, this part is complete. Can it be more complex? Well, if it's going to be more complex, what is the next move in it? You trade the next move until you got a complete pattern. And once it starts breaking out, you assume that this is going to go like this one. Once it starts breaking out, we assume this is going to go. We're correct. 90% of the time, you will be correct. 10%, it's going to make something else more complex. Very simple. So at this point, I can't tell you whether it's a buy or sell unless we have something to buy and sell, which means if they consolidate here, we will buy to break the top. If it drop and make a flag, we'll absolutely sell to break here. So you can see why we would like to get a sell setup. Because for us, the risk to reward in the sell setup is much, much more better than the risk to reward in the buy setup. Now, the only time you would know about that trade is sometime tomorrow, which means you will not get it, but we will get it. Silver, it's very likely this one is trying to go up, or we're going down very slow. On the big picture, going up from this point is okay. If they want to go up from this point, they can go up. We're at a low point in the correction. We're at a low point in this correction. We made a low. It can go back up. That doesn't mean it cannot make a new low. It doesn't mean that it cannot drop here one more time and then go back up. Right? Quite possible. So what we're going to look for here now is a breakout to the upside. The breakout to the upside is a better trade for us because we know that it's going to go back to the top. Any trade we take inside of this, and if you want to take it, like we saw some trades, you have to be very careful. They're short term. If this remains a flag, and especially if it stays here longer, just like this, for example, I think my traders remember that was a sell, actually turned out to be a break-even sell because it didn't go, right? This, we didn't take it unless you were taking the buy in the very low time frame. If this had consolidated, that would be a buy. Now that it dropped and it's consolidating here, there's a sell back to the bottom. Now, how you look at this pattern would depend. You can probably make an assumption that, you know what if this here at some point is a running flat? 1, 2, and this would just break the low and then go back up. Or break the low and drop to the bottom here. All right, let's assume this is the top. This here was the top of this move going up there. You're making an expanding flat and a running flat in this one, 1, 2, 3, but then this would drop to the low. It's kind of rare to see that happen because you don't normally break the top and the impulse coming down. So even if we take the trade, we'll have to assume that it's coming here, but then you would make a new high, break this top. And at that point, you can literally drop or you can continue to go up. Now, if you look at gold, remember this, what I said, this piece is going to break the top because that's exactly the pattern you're going to see in gold. See, we dropped, see this deep consolidation, you broke out of the trend. You drop here, but then they went back and break that top. So now we have a bigger correction. I think it's a correction. It looks very much like this is trying to make a new low. They could be going up. You do have times when you have one small correction, you have a bigger correction, and this just takes off. But at the same time, because we broke the top and we have divergence, there's a high probability of this coming back, retesting the low, and then go. We're still in this corrective move. We're in a bigger correction also. And we can go one lower. Nobody says this can't come one lower here and still go back up. We're still assuming for now that this is a running flat. We're still keeping that assumption that that is because it hasn't changed as yet, right? If we change any structure, then we will go with the contracting flat, which means if this actually comes and break this low, then we will go with the contracting flat in the middle. And that means we would have end 1, 2, 3. And from here, you're going to go up. So as the pattern changes, as the structure changes, you determine which are the most common patterns that you've seen before. And then you said, well, okay, what's the next likely move? And if you get that direction, you take the trade. Most times you will. Again, from this point, we can either drop now. And I think if they drop, they would likely, first, they're going to break this low. Second, they might even break this low. But the trade for us now is it going to drop? Which means if we get a flag here, we'll definitely sell it. I would assume that we already have a flag. We'll put a sell setup here. The only way that changes from a sell is if this crawls up back to the top there, because if it goes to the top, we're going to expect it to come here and go back up, which means we will take out the sell. And by this afternoon or tomorrow, that becomes a buy. Which one is it going to be? Well, if you're following me and you have any idea of how we look at patterns, you might be able to follow that and make your own decisions, right? Sometimes it's very complex. It's not as easy as it looks, right? But right now, as it stands, if it starts to drop, you want it. If it goes higher, take it off. So we'll put a sell in this and we'll put a sell in this. Both of them are putting sell setups. And then we'll see where they go, right? So let me just put a sell here and let me put a sell here. By the way, we still mark these. Every Monday we start that with a clean slate, and then during the week that will be there, and the updates 3-4 times a day still happen. Let's go. What do we have here? Okay, we broke the top. We're back at the top there. I don't know if any of my traders got that trade, but they should, right? An entry order above that top should have been there, because always it could take off. If you got that, perfect. I expect one more up. I expect this to. We're not looking for a contracting flat, put it that way. So we would expect this to consolidate here, go one more up, break that up, and then it drops. So there's a possibility we might get that. Not necessarily, because if it starts to drop, we'll go with contracting flats. We don't have it, then we have a sell setup here. If it consolidates quite a lot, then we'll consider it, but I would really like them to break the top, which means we would expect this to be a flat, break the top, and then drop. Let's see if we get that. If not, we'll go with either it's still in consolidation or it's making a contracting flat, right? Can it come back to the bottom and still go back up? I think by now you know the answer to that, right? So we've seen that before. So we'll wait and see what we have here. We don't have anything. It's not even consolidating enough. It kind of have 1, 2, 3 hours. Give it an hour or two more. We're not so keen on this sellers yet, but if it is going to drop, we'll sell it. Euro. Euro came down much lower also than expected. Right, it's pretty much, it's still within the correction. It's still within the correction, but it came pretty low. I still think that's an impulse, which means we spoke Friday. Remember, we spoke Friday whether we would consider this a big flat for downside or a big flat for probably a deeper one. The deeper they come here, the higher the probabilities when they get back to the top there, we're going to have one more down. The higher the probabilities, this becomes something like this. This here, this bigger one, and then drop. I don't think this one is going to drop to make the low. Euro did not break the low. You remember the weekly Euro didn't break the low. And we are no longer making that running flat, so we can take it off. We were forecasting the possibility of the running flat. I think that is off the board, right? That running flat is off. This is making more of a flat here now. Take the buy off. That was the sell. Take that off. We can take this off now because we broke the low. And we're still within this zone, right? So what that means is that we're still here. This is pretty sharp, and that would not stand alone. See, every time they make a sharp one, it doesn't stand alone. It goes with something else. This is a lot of correction in here. So I would assume that this might either make a correction, come here, go back up, make a flat, and then we drop. Even if it breaks the low, we'd expect one more up, then drop. I still think this would be part of a bigger correction. So selling at the bottom there is a bad idea. Let's sell something else. Right, selling at the bottom here is not a good idea. Even if it's going to drop, sell another euro pair or another dollar pair, because it's a very high risk trade trying to sell it. But buying from the bottom going up would be a great idea, right? We'll have to put this as the flat eventually. Wait for this. If this, if this makes an up move and give us a buy setup, we'll absolutely take the trade because we need this move up back. Pound. This came down pretty deep too. We do have this. We end up with this now being the expanding flat. The two options was the contracting flat or the expanding flat. Turned out you break the low and it drops very much. Expanding flat. So you have 1, you have 2, you have 3, and all of that is inside of this. 1, 2, 3. Now, here's the question. Is this all the correction for downside? This could be correction. You could go with that as all the correction. If that is all the correction for downside, we're going to drop, break this low. The big picture is going to break that low. Right. So any flag we get here, any flag, any small 1 hour flag, we'll take a trade. It's pretty risky as you come to the low, but we'll take the trade. Because there's a good chance that this could be all, or this could end up going quite a lot, then come back here, make a running flat, and then drop. If it goes back up, we'll take the buy as well, because the buy is going to go back to this level. Look at when this one, see how much this went? It went quite a lot before you get the sharp move, can complete that flat and then go back up, right? So we'll take the trade. Any trade we get, we're going to take here. Any sell setup, we'll take it. Probably wait for this to make a bigger one. Now that's too small. That's you want a pretty much good flag before you take the trade at the bottom, right? Let it pull back a little, make a nice flag, and then we'll go with the trade for the sell. It's most likely going to be a sell. Aussie came down quite a lot, so we might assume that they're going to make a new low. We can go for the sells, which means if you get 3-4 hours consolidation, you can put a sell setup. I think we have 4 hours consolidation there. We can put the sell setup. It might consolidate more, so be careful. We'll manage that trade. If it doesn't go on the 4 hour, we're still in the correction. Nothing has changed. We're still in that correction. It doesn't mean they can't go lower, right? It's pretty sharp now, right? So they can literally retest the low and then go back up. This would be more of a 1, 2, 3 here. We've had those deep pullback like this and then go still. So a deep pullback and drop, no problem. All they're going to do is break this low. I don't think we're going down much deeper. We're just going to break that low and we'll still be in this consolidation. So if we take the sell, you still have to be very cautious with it, right? We're hoping that they're going to break the low and then go back up. Can it actually go back up from this point? Yeah, we've had deep pullback where they still go up, right? Come back to this stop, but that means we have to wait for it to turn. We have to wait for it to make a flag and then we'll go with it. The sell is good for now. Just manage it. You know how to do that. So we put a sell here. New Zealand. Same here. We were expecting this to break out on Friday. It didn't break out. It actually dropped. This sell at the bottom there wasn't a good idea. But now that you're breaking out again, can it make a new low? The question is, can this drop make a new low? I don't see a problem. Why not? Right? Remember, we broke out of this. So we broke out of this, make a low, go and back up. Breaking out of this, they can come break it again and then go back up. Can we assume that this is going to break this low? I doubt it. This is really sharp. So this one is more of a slow downside. Will eventually go back up. And even if you break the low, you're going to have divergence. So that could be a sign that once we break the low, we can go back up, right? So on the 1 hour, if you get a flag for a sell, we'll go with the sell. But any buy setup we get, we'll take it. We really don't have a sell setup here. This is not a flag. It's going up. Each candle is going higher and higher. So it's not much of a sell setup. When it starts to consolidate here, we'll get a sell setup. What if it just goes like this and make a flag here, right? If it goes a couple more up like this, and then we get a flag here, that becomes the buy. We will take the buy. Any buy setup we'll take. From this low, any buy setup is good. So right now we just wait on this one. Swiss, the buy was a good one. If you bought it, we are getting another consolidation there. We're going to break the top. No, that's not the top. This was a sell. Sorry. Take this off. This move down is really, really sharp. And I don't think that's the end of this. I don't think that's the equivalent of this as yet. It could be. I mean, it's really sharp. This one had a lot of pullback here, pullback here, pullback here, and then go. So if we assume that that's it, let's assume that this here is the running flat. It's okay. They're both pretty much equal. This one just missed it by a few pips there. Then this would probably go break the top again. We're looking for this move up. And from that point, two things you're looking for, right? When we break, if and when we break that up, we could break out totally. Or we just break the top and come right back down here. Which of those two? I think the dollar index has a possibility of going down more, right? So when you break that up, if we do break the top on this one, this would be the running flat. This one would break the top, which is this move up, and then I expect it to drop. Not because this has a pattern that says it's going to drop, because the dollar index would likely drop. And because, you know, dollar is on the other side of this, this would make strength in the for the Swiss. So we'll expect this to drop. We might get another buy setup here. Might be worth taking too. There is some divergence, so you have to be cautious, but they can keep the divergence breaking this top. So that divergence could stay there, even though they're going to go break the top. We don't have any sell setup as yet. This would be a buy. CAD was a buy on Friday. It's still a buy, but you want to be careful here because there might be a pullback first. You can take this for a running flat, keep a stop here. It might do this, pull back here, and then go. I think we're going to get a running flat there. So you have to be prepared that it could be a running flat if you're taking the buy now. CAD literally completed the pattern we wanted to complete, and we're going up, right? So we made this move, we made this entire pattern. Finally, you can see it, right? Remember when we were in here, we were struggling to figure out what this pattern actually is, because every time we assume it's making this one, it keeps changing, right? Finally, it's so easy. Now you can look at it and say, yeah, I can see this. I understand that. I understand this, and I understand this. Then definitely I'm expecting that. So any buy setup here is a good trade. Take the trade. It's that easy now, right? It's pretty clear. It's almost crystal clear now, and you couldn't see it when you were in the middle here, assuming that this is the one that is going to go up. Go back to the 1 hour. You can take the trade now, but you have to be aware that it could be a running flat. Right? I do believe it will be a run. This is pretty sharp. I don't know when the running flat will happen, but it looks like it's a running flat, so you have to keep a bigger stop. I would probably even increase the risk, put a stop here, not because you're going to be stopped out here, but that's how you manage your trade so that you can get out for break even in the case it doesn't go the way you want it to go. All right. So this one is upside. That's pretty clear. We'll put a buy in it. Yen keeps breaking the top, but you have to be careful, right? I warn you, if you're going to buy this on Friday, make sure you can get out. Don't stay in it, right? It's kind of dropping. If this is going to drop, go to the 15, sell. Right? Go to the 15, sell. We've already agreed on that. Once this starts to drop, maybe not this one, that's not a sign. This is a good sign for a sell. If you're cautious about a running flat, wait for the next flag sell. Right? I could agree that at this point, you might be cautious about whether it's making this. Let this drop, drop, drop with a bigger 15 one, not these size. Wait for a bigger one, sell. Can it still go up? Absolutely. But the minute you see this start dropping, any flag you get, we will sell. So I'm going to put it as a sell setup in the making. Wait for it. Euro New Zealand. Let's go. This one is kind of complex. It has to come down more, but we're consolidating there. We can make a big flat like that there. So we're assuming that we're making a bigger flat here. 1, 2, 3. We're going with that as a bigger flat. There's a good chance we're going to make some consolidation here, like this did here. Some bigger consolidation here. Drop, break this low, and then take off. So if we get any sell setup here, we'll take it. No buy setup as yet. Don't buy it because you're buying inside of a consolidation. The sells are higher probability trade to drop, break the low. So we just wait, skip it for now, wait for the trade. Euro New Zealand. Sorry, that was the one we were in. Euro CAD. It's going to break the low very slowly. We can ignore it until it breaks the low and then look for the upside, right? Because once we break this low, there's a high. You can see the divergence, the high probability we're going back to this stop. I still don't think it's completed. Although we have this big flat there, we could be staying here for a much longer time. So sell setup at the bottom there. There is a sell setup. It's up to you. It's pretty risky. I probably wouldn't be selling it. We'd let it drop. You can sell any other thing that has a CAD inside or has a euro inside. You don't have to sell this one. Let it drop, and then we'll come back to that. Euro Swiss. It's not going up. Now, the only question is whether we'll accept that as a contracting flat, right? Do we take the contracting flat? 1, 2, 3. Then this is going down really slow, right? Even if you're trying to sell it, you close the trade already because it's not going anywhere. What we would wait for is if it actually pulls back, and there's a good chance it might pull back. If it pulls back like this, we'll go with the running flat because this one didn't break the low. This broke the low. So if it pulls back, definitely we're selling. If it makes any flag, it could be the market was slow this morning. That is why. If it makes another flag, this is not a flag. This is just a little pullback here. So you actually wanted to consolidate here for a while, and we will sell it because the move is to the downside, right? We're coming back to this low. We can make an assumption that that's 1, 2, 3, and we're retesting the low. So any sell setup we'll take. Take this off for now. You don't need this. And any sell setup here would be a good trade. Go back to the 1 hour, wait for a flag or wait for a sharp move up. Put it as a running flat, sell it. That is the range. That is the range of the impulse. You couldn't see it, that is why we put it. You'll only see it when you come here, right? So I think we want this to actually make a sharp go back. I would like this to go back here. All of this would be consolidation, back to the top there, and then we put that trade down to the downside. That'd be a nice trade if we have any news event today. We want a news in Euro or Swiss. No, we don't have any. We'll still trade it. So I'll put this a trade in the making, a sell in the making, so we keep an eye on it. Sell setup. Euros. Okay, so where are we? Kind of making big corrections, right? They're going back up. So if they go back up, we'll eventually come with a running flat. We'll take the running flat if they come. We see you had this big correction here. So that becomes a big correction. We're still going to have one more down, right? You had 1, 2, 3. If this makes this big correction here and probably get to that top, we're looking for a sell down. This would be 1, 2, 3, and then we're coming back down, either like this or like this. So what do we do at that point? Just leave it. If you get a good buy setup, you can take it. I don't think it's going to drop from there. Right? They probably consolidate there, then go. We can't sell it here at that point if it drops, because this is not a correction of its own of that move. So we'll assume that they're making just a bigger correction, get up to the top, and then come back down. The bigger picture is this one. Right? Still looks like a correction, especially if this goes here and then come back here. This still goes back up. That still goes back up because there's no way you will be looking at this as the correction to the down, as an impulse to the downside. So there will be a sell from the top coming down, but then we'll have to wait for it. Just leave it for now. Let's see Euro Yen. I think we might have made the top already, although there's a big flat at the top, very sharp way back to the top. It could be we've made the top already and we're going down. It's a good sell. What does a 15 look like? Yeah, you can make an argument it's finished because they had to pull back already. You had this move, you had this, you go there, you can make this argument with this one. You could take this as the low if you want, and that's over. Put an entry under the low. We're late for any or early sell, so you can put an entry under the low for the sell. And that could be the top. That could literally be the top of it. Right? So the sell is a good idea. Where would this take us? Way back to the bottom. If you want to wait for a bigger flag, it's okay. But at this point, I think if you get a small one, take the trade. It will make a big correction eventually, but we don't know how far it goes before you get a big correction and then you get a drop. Well, not in a straight line, just giving you an idea. So the sell setup is a good idea. I like it. We'll put the sell on here. And then we'll see how we manage that trade. Euro pound. It's going back up, so we're probably in a much bigger correction right now. We're still in a big correction. Take that off. We're still in a big correction. Just wait for this setup. You can actually go for a buy here. Although I'll be very careful because it's probably not going to break out far. Right? This buy might just stay in this thing and come back here. So we'll wait for it to break out, make flats, and then buy. There's only one impulse to the upside. I don't know how deep that is going to go. So let it break out first. Okay, so why are we coming down? Let's see what's the bigger picture. It did break the low. It didn't go back up. We're expecting it to break out at this point, but or at least a bigger move like this to the top, which we didn't get. We're still going back down. Let's see if it's going to make a new low. We'll go with it. It will be better it will be much better for us for the downside. So probably this was just all the consolidation. That was the top. Right, this was the consolidation. Two big flats. So small flat here and move up the bigger one at top, and we're going down. We don't have anything. I wouldn't trade it here. We'll wait for a better correction. Wait for them to make something like this. Let it make something like that, and then we'll trade it back to break this low. Let it confirm the downside, and then we trade. Something like this would work. Something like that would work. Otherwise, then I let it drop. Let it drop, break the low, and then we start buying, right? Because every time they broke the low, they go back up. See? So if this drops here, break the low again, we start to look for this trade out. One of them will go. Eventually, one of them will go. Now, there's still a possibility that we get this. to the top here and drop one more, but this would be a big trade. That is why we're trying to get that one to the upside. And I think we got a trade, one or two small trades in it. Yep, we did have a few small trades here. Now let's wait and see. I wouldn't sell this yet. Let it make the flag for the sell and then we'll take it. Pangos. Okay, you're getting a sell set up here. Let's see where that is taking us. It didn't break the top there, going back down. There's a 1, 2, 3 correction downside. Let's see, that's a sell setup. Retest the low again. Possible. Possible this comes back, retest the low again, and then go back up. But this still is a correction, right? This will all still be bigger correction. Right, all of this here and this, and come here and do this and go back and come here and then go back there. It's still within the sideways move. I think we can take the sell and then see how far it goes. It's actually a good, it looks like in a 50. Yeah, you could go to 1, 1, 2, 3. It might even go back up to this level. There's a good chance that this is not it. This could be 1, 2, 3 here, come here, go back there, and then drop. Keep a stop here and manage the trade if you want to take it. If that's all 1, 2, 3, it's going to drop. So the sell is a good idea. And you're only selling to break this low. Right? There's no need for them to break this low. They can break it, but there's no need for that. So the sell is to break this low, put a stop there 1 to 1. You can manage the trade. So put a sell here. If it doesn't go in a couple hours, take it off. You know the rules. Pang Yen, I hope all of you are in this trade. I hope all of you have your entry order there, because we definitely said if you get a flag here, all yen pairs, we broke the top. All the yen pairs are looking downside right now. If you're not in that one, wait for another flag, get it to the bottom here. Right? Actually, it might not be too late to sell it. Wait for a little pullback, sell it. Keep a bigger stop. We're coming to the bottom. If it makes any bigger correction, we'll take break even and then we'll sell it. But we're coming back to this low first. Two ways we look at this. Either we're making a flat at the top there for one more up, or they're totally dropping. This is all the correction and they're totally dropping. I don't think that's all the correction. So I think we'll probably just make a big flat here and then go back up. Let's see. Trade is a good one though. So if you're not in the trade, what you do is allow this to pull back slightly, wait for it to close, pull back slightly, sell it. Still a good trade. So put a sell here. Tomcat. Sell setup. Take this off. Put a sell. All the punk trades have sell setup. This became a 1, 2, 3 structure. It didn't go higher. Why make a new low? Let's see the bigger picture. It's a pretty risky one. You're gonna have a lot of divergence. It's a sell setup. I don't think it's worth taking. I'll rather sell the pound yen. You might take it. It might drop quite a lot. It's a choice you'll have to make. Remember, we're the low in all the structures. We're the bottom of all the structures. Every single one of them. We're the bottom of this bigger one. We're the bottom of the smaller one. So all they need to do is break that low and they can go right back up. I don't think this is the start of the impulse. This can't be the impulse to the downside. It doesn't move like that. It could make a running flat, which will allow it to go much more in the bigger time frame, but it's not the end of the end. You're going to go back up, put it that way. It's not the impulse to the downside. So there's a nice flat there for a good sell to if you want. You have on all the punk trades, select the ones you want and trade it. I don't think you should put that one. And we'll skip it. And those who want to take the trade, take it. Especially if you want to take one that is from a top area. There is a sell setup here. See? But again, we didn't break that top. Do we go with a contracting flat? It's possible. You could make an argument for that. This one has to come back, break the low, and then we'll go to 1, 2, 3, and go back up. Finish this, right? So this is likely going to go back up, just like the Pang Yen, just like the Pang Cat, and the Pang Oz. Pang Oz also is going to go back up, right? So we know that even when this breaks the low, we're going back up. We know this is going back. This is likely going to go back up because you're in this bigger flat. Pang Cat definitely will go back up because you're in a lot of bigger flat patterns. And Pang New Zealand pretty much might just break this low and go back up. Let's see if you should take the sell already. You can take it. Still a good sell. You'll have to keep a bigger stop and go for it to break this low. Aussie Yen. Absolutely. First sell, second sell. That's about the third sell, sorry. I remember the first sell was at the top here. We took this one, we took that one, then you closed, you put this one, you're putting this one as a sell setup. It's going really slow. So what you do when you're in a going slow like this is that you survive one of them and then put it to break even and leave it. Right? If you want to take the profit in each one, also deal. Put a sell here. Aussie Swiss, the week is starting really good. So this one I was explaining to one of the traders why we think we want this to go back down. So that is why it's there. I was explaining what the trade should be and where you want to go. Now you would not take the trade here. If you're you would have taken the trade here. You would put the stop here, right? That when I explained it was going up. And I was explaining why it's not a buy, but a sell setup. So we left it for him to see why we think this is going to come back here. It's coming down. Let me take that off. It's a one-on-one I did with trade. It's coming down. Right now, it's kind of going sideways. If you took the trade, you close it. By all rule, you close that trade already. It's not going. It will still go. You just wait for the consolidation and then you take it. So it will probably make another consolidation here, and then we will go for a sell setup. Wait for the consolidation. You don't have a perfect flat there. This was a perfect flat. Even if this is going to go back up, wait for this to finish and then look for the sell setup. There isn't the buy setup on this as yet. Right, so we're looking for the sell setup now. Can you put a sell under the low? Absolutely. If it drops, it's a good trade. If it makes a bigger consolidation, you take that off. So I'll put the sell on, put it there, and we'll go with this. Aussie, New Zealand. It's your call. I'm not trading this. I don't think we should trade it. It's coming down really slow. It did break the top there, and it's coming down really slow. I don't know if we're making a more complex pattern anywhere. I don't see it, so we'll just have to leave it alone. Aussie CAD. Okay, we want this sell on this, but we want it to come back up first. And it's just not going back up. You want this sharp move up before you actually take the trade. It's a running flat. It will definitely give you that sharp move. See this whole piece here? More like a channel. So if I'm wrong, it's going to be a sharp move up. If I'm right, it's just going to come here and then go back down. What's the big picture? This is what we have, right? We're going to make a new low. Probably don't trade it. Leave it alone. This one could stay here for a while. Then make a sharp move up, complete that flat, drop here, and then start to go back up. So we don't trade it at the moment. We just leave it. New Zealand Swiss. It's a sideways move for downside. Put it in the 1 hour. You can see that. We don't have any trade set up at the moment, so just leave it. It has to break this structure and make a flag. Then we will decide to sell it. Right? Because you're just going sideways up and down, and the range is not enough to give you profitable trades. New Zealand CAD. Same here, we'll probably break this low. There's a good chance that this is going to break the low. And from there, we'll have to decide, is it going to go back up there? Or are we going to continue to drop? I'm more inclined to believe we're going to go back up because this is the big flat is in the middle of the structure, right? So I believe from this point, if we break that low, we're going back up. Go back to the 1 hour and wait. Should we take the sell? Nope. You don't have risk to reward in the trade. Even if it goes, you don't have risk to reward. Right? This consolidates here. You get a drop. You have to put an entry here, a stop here. All it needs to do is break this low and it can go back up. So that's not a good trade. Leave it alone. What if this goes back all the way to the top? Then it's a big flat for upside, but that you'll have to wait for the down move, and then next move up will start buying. New Zealand Yen. Like all the yen pairs, you're getting sell setups. That was a sell. You're getting another sell setup here. Take that out. They're going down really, really slow. Kind of not a good thing to happen, but we could come back to the low here, right? We're in that sideways move. So the assumption is we're coming back to this. So they're coming really slow. You can still sell. You don't have to put it under the low. I think you can get more aggressive with that trade, but I would put it under the low for the sake of the webinar, right? But you can get more aggressive on the sell because you might have to take break even or take a small profit out of it until we get a deeper correction. Canadian, this would have been a break even. Right? It stays there for too long. It didn't go take break even. You're making a bigger correction here. Question, is that all the correction? If that is all, you should be in the trade already. If you're not, put an entry under the low. So if they make more correction here, you'll take this off, wait for it to go back up and then sell. It's a sell setup. If it drops, you won the trade. All right, so put an entry there, put it in the 4 hour. Well, this could literally drop because we're not expecting this to come back down and then go back up. We broke the top, so this could literally start the down move from that point, which means a lot of them could be starting that down move. All right, we're in this move. We kind of made this one 1, 2, 3 up, 1, 2, 3 down, and this one just went up really sharp. Right, I don't think we're making a correction like this in here or a correction like that here. We could be, right? This could come down here and start to do this here and then go back, make a new one, and then come back here, right? But it doesn't matter. That's a big drop, and you're at the top of it. So the sell is a good idea. Do we have divergence between these two? Between those two, let's see if we have divergence. We do. This is a good sign. So wait for this in the 1 hour. Sell it. If you can get it at a better point, it's okay, but go with the sell. Cat Swiss. Probably making a flat. Can we go with the expanding flat or running flat like this? Let's see, we were making a running flat. Yeah, it should be that running flat. You could put the entry under the low now or wait for a better flag in here and take it. Can it be making a big credit? I don't think so. Where would this take us? Well, if that flat proves what we think it is, we're coming back to this low. Take this off. We're coming back to this low. Right? So this is the top. I'll take that off. We don't need it. We'll put it here and we're coming back to this low. That's a good sell, actually. Sorry, put the sell on. It's valid. Swiss yen. This might be the only yen pair that doesn't have a sell setup. So we'll leave this alone. This is the only one that doesn't have a clear sell setup. You could make an argument for running flat here, right? But then you have 1, 2, the chances will just come here and go back up, right? This one doesn't, it's not showing us that clear sell setup. So it might be a sell setup. It is right now, probably a sell setup, but it's not that clear. So we'll stay out of this one and then we'll see what happens to it. This one is going deeper, so we'll go with the running flat. Like I said, I don't know if any one of you took the trade, but it's possible we might be looking at a running flat here. We spoke about that during the week many times, that if it goes up, you'll probably be looking at this as a running flat, and then you'll look for one more down and then up. Complete this pattern, and then up. So if you're starting to get sell set up, you can go for a short-term trade and then upside. That will just give you a big flat at the top there. You're going to make a big flat here and then continue to go. What's the bigger picture, where it can end up going? Well, we know where it can go, right? You kind of make a big correction in here, and then you go correction and you go, right? So this is making it will have to come back here, make a big flat, and then you can start buying this one to the top. We're definitely going to be breaking that top, that's for sure. And then we'll see how far it goes. Let's go. You don't have a trade setup as now unless you get a sell setup back to the bottom and then the buy setup. Natural gas. It's coming down lower. If you got tagged in that, I hope you closed it. If not, you take a small loss here. Don't keep it for this level. Close it somewhere there, depending on whether you put that trade on. It's going sideways. It probably will still go back up. Right? If we're going down, they will have to come here and go back up, make a flat like this, and then you get a sell setup again. Right now, you don't have any trade setup in it. Oil. Okay, so now we're finally going down. We didn't break that top. That is a surprise. Could it be we're going down from this point? Well, we'll know that very soon. We expect that to come back down. There are all the lines. This is, oh, we changed it. I remember we changed it. So this is coming down. Any correction you get here now would be a trade back to this level. We're looking for this move down, right? So you had that running flat. You had this running flat. And now we're looking at this as a 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3. If we're wrong about it, then this is the end of the structure. We're totally going to go down. Let's assume for a second you're wrong about it, then that's something. But I don't think so. They need to come back here, go back there, and then drop. So by then, we will know whether this is a big correction for upside or whether we're going to retest the low. right? By the time that correction is over, you will figure out whether this here, by the time this comes to the bottom here, go back up there and then come down here. We'll figure out whether this here is a big flat for downside or it's a big flat when you break this low to go back up. We don't know which one it is. Well, we'll figure that out by the time that happens, right? So we're looking for sell setups. Let's see if we have anything here. Yeah, you can literally sell it right now if you want. You have a sell setup forming there, right? Any flag is a sell. So you can put a sell setup here. Keep a stop above here, manage the trade. And the same thing should be here too. Yeah, we didn't break the top either. So this would be the top and they're coming down. So take that off and let's see. Take the trade and then we'll see what happens that you can manage this, right? Don't let it tag you now, especially if they're making a bigger flat in there. And then look for the sell. So put a sell setup on that as well. Let's go PayPal. Nothing. I should have made it in 2 parts, right? Sorry, we'll just go with 1. PayPal, if you took the sell, you're doing well. Right, it's going to break the low and then you can figure out to take your profit. Move your stop to break even. Tesla. Slow movement, just leave it alone. It could be a buy setup. They could be going up from this point, right? This could be going up back from that point to that level. So if you want to buy it, put an entry for a buy there. If you want to buy it. Tesla could be a buy. If it drops lower, you don't want to sell it. But if they actually, sorry, let me get this here. If it actually is going to go up from that flat there, you can put a buy entry here. Because if it drops from this point, that wouldn't bother you. But if it goes up back, we're expecting it to come back here. So this could be a nice trade. Remember, we sold that. We sold this one. So the buy going back to the top after breaking that low makes sense. I'll put it as a buy and then we'll monitor it for the rest of the week and see where it goes. These are long-term trades, not short-term. Amazon coming down. It's probably break the low again. Maybe make a bigger flat too. So just wait, leave it alone for now. US 30. This dropped really nice. We were expecting it to go back there. We didn't sell this. We had the 3 of them, same structure, but none of them broke the top here except for this one. So we sold this, right? We sold this here on Friday. That was a good one, right? Because this broke the top. You can see the difference in the structure. This has a flag here. It has an impulse. It came down back. It make a flag. So this was a good sell. This would have been a good sell. I think we had a sell set up here on Friday. If you wanted to take the second sell, that was a good sell. So this one coming down, anticipated that move. And this one also structurally did the same thing previously here, right? Kind of make a sharp move, come back down, go back up in there. So do we expect it to go back up? It's possible. Remember, you're coming down, but you're coming down in a really kind of a slow corrective thing. It's not coming down really sharp, right? It didn't drop like this or drop like that when they're coming down really slow. So this could be a long-term downside. And if it's a long-term downside, there will have to be clear structures in it. So that there's a good chance that this dropping here might go back up and then drop again. So go back to the 1 hour. Any sell setup you get now, if you take this one, you have to start managing it to the bottom here. Right? Because I don't think this is all the correction. So there's a good chance that they will drop here, go back up, break this top again, and then drop. So be careful here at the bottom now. You have to have a really good flag before you sell it to the bottom. This also dropped. We didn't take this because this didn't break the top. 2 of them didn't break the top. We didn't take the trades. It doesn't matter. You take the one that has the higher probability in it. So what we have was a really sharp move up, a lot of corrections at the top there, and then it dropped this deep. I think there's a high probability it goes back up, make a flat like this, and then come back down. So let's wait and see if we get that. Right? If you're going to sell at the bottom here, you have to have a really good corrective structure before you do that. More like a flag, right? If you get more like a flag, then it will be a trade. So just wait on it, especially now that it's at the bottom. This one you sold, this one is all of them the same thing. You have to wait for another sell setup. I hope you got this trade, right? So we were thinking about this one, we were thinking about this one. You could have sold any one of them back to this level, right? So you're selling it back to this level, and then there's a good chance it will go back up as well because you're in this sideways move. We haven't broken the top. We came back all the way there. I don't think we will go with a contracting flat, which means I don't think I'm looking at this as a contracting flat as yet. Any flag you get here, we can still sell it. Especially if it makes a bigger correction, we'll sell it. It needs to break that low. That will give us break even before they go back up, if they go back up. Let's assume it's a contracting flag. I don't think it is. So wait for a correction there to break this low. You'll take the trade, break the low, and then we'll see where it goes from there. It has to correct. This will correct, right? It doesn't drop this much and don't correct, right? So if they drop this much, they'll correct back to the top and then drop. Nifty. Good. So now when it breaks the low, this was the sell setup to break the low. Like I said, these are long-term if you're taking those sells. It breaks the low, probably come like this. And then we are anticipating a move back up. You get a 1, 2, 3. But I thought this was it, but now we will go at 1, 2, 3 because you got the bigger one, right? Go back up after that. Let's see what happens from that point. This one had like more like this correction here, so it's okay. Once they break the low, we'll expect it to go back up. Bitcoin. So for all the crypto traders, this was it. This was the forecast we made, so you understand how forecasts work, right? Because this is a deep correction, we were aware that it could make 1, it could make 2, it could make 3, and then drop. When it consolidated quite a lot here, if you were in any sell, you would close it because you were cautioned that this, because this is deep back to the top, the chances are, if you were in a buy, you would have to close your buy and put an entry above the top. And then the drop. We're not interested in the sell in Bitcoin. We're not interested in the sell in any of the cryptos. We're only interested in the buy. So what you're going to do here now that you broke the low is you wait for a buy setup. Bigger picture, this is it. See? Nothing new happening. Absolutely nothing new. So we'll take this off. We know now that it didn't go up from that point. And we broke the low. Every time you break the low, you're looking for that to start. 1 second. Sorry about that. Yeah, let's go. So what you start to look for here now is buy setups. Wait for the setup. Once you get the setup, you're going to have advantage that if you took any buys in here, you put that to positive and it dropped. And this is not just me telling you this is how it should work. That's exactly what I did because I did it on linked, right? For my traders, you would know I had a linked that we did. I just put an order to sell. Once I got into positive, put the order to sell, made a few $100s, just a few hundred because it's a very small amount. I'm trading it. And it's not a trading account. It's more of money that is stocked on Skrill. And I don't know what it's stocked there for a year. I don't know what to do. I put it there to give me a few $100, close the trade. I'll buy again because I can't buy a lot of them there, but there's a couple I can buy there and Linked was one of them, turned out to be really good. So maybe I'll buy another one. I'll figure out. Right. So it's pretty simple. I'm not like trading it. I'm just converting from one to the other, which is trading. You convert from one without leverage. And you can still make 3, 4, 5 times to 1, which is what I was telling you to do. And I was telling you that you can get in even if you're long term, but you don't need to stick with it. That's the whole thing. That's the difference. You can say, well, I'm long term. I'll probably just hold it. Yeah, I'm long term too, but I don't have to hold it. I took a couple $100 and now I can buy the same one much, much cheaper. So the volume I'm going to buy now is much higher. Plus I have $300 to buy more. Add it to that. And then when it goes back up, if again it goes back up and it's going to drop again, we will repeat the process, right? If at any point in time, let's say you're buying this one and it drops here and makes a flag and you buy here and it started to go up like this and it started coming back like this, you're going to put it at break even. If it goes back like this and come back like this and it makes a flat, it's either going to go up or it's going to drop. In case it drop, you move your stop to there. If it drop, we start buying back from here. So if they keep making like this, no problem. You just get in and get out. And that's the advantage of wave analysis. That is what wave analysis does for you. It gives you a great advantage of understanding all the possibilities and how you should manage your trade in any given conditions. When this thing take off, it's going to take off like a rocket. So you don't want to miss it. Wait for the buy setup. Let's go. I think by now I don't even have to go through all of them. Some of them we actually anticipate they're going to drop like this one. I also look at it and it came way to the top here. We weren't buying it. I thought this was going to make a flat here, make one more up and then drop. So we thought it's going to be like this. Well, it's actually dropping without that. So we'll assume that this was all the correction. We're not interested in the sell. And this one is going to break the low now. Take this off. It's just a simple flat. I thought it's going to be more complex. That will break the low. And once it breaks the low, you start to look for your buy setup. See? Because we're breaking out of this structure already. So I'll assume they'll go break the low. This was just a deep correction, which we had on every single one of them, a deep correction. That's strange. Dash. We anticipate that this could drop. This wasn't the case. See, this one was a sell setup. If you wanted to sell it, it broke the low. When it breaks the low, again, you're in the daily. I can show you all of them on the daily. When it breaks the low, this is what you have. This one is quite interesting. Because this is what you have in it, right? You're making, this is the whole thing, drop, went up, back, drop. You're breaking this low. The minute you break that low, any buy setup would be a good idea. Because at some point, it has to either make a deeper correction or total upside, right? Which is it going to be? Well, you don't need to know. Just take the darn trade and figure it out as you go, right? It's that simple. So this is coming down. We'll figure this out as we go. Let it go. It's coming down really nice. Once it breaks this low, it may or may not break this low. You start looking for buy setups. So let it drop. And here's the thing. What if it collapses at this point? I'm not saying it's going to collapse. Don't start go crazy on me, right? But what if it collapses? It's not your problem. You're not going to be in the trade. This one didn't go up. That just good. This would be the flat 1, 2, 3. You just have to go with that flat from here. Some kind of an expanding. Do we have a running flat anywhere? No, we don't. So we'll go with that one. So this drops here. Look for the buy setup, take the trade. Same here. See, this one also we thought this one could still go up by the way. Be careful with this. It might not break the low. Even if it breaks the low, the chances are you're making a running flat. See this case? They broke the low, then they go back and drop. So this could break the low here. This one is really slow to the downside, so it could break the low, go back up there, and then drop. But if we get a buy setup here, and it gets to that top, you put it to positive, it drop, make a new low, you start buying here again. You wait for the setup, you buy again. So this one might not break the low. It could go back from here, from this point. It doesn't have to. Look how deep this pullback. Look at this one. See the depth of that pullback? Way back to the bottom there. But then that took off. So if this comes here and start to take off, you can still go for the buy because this could bring you back to the top there. Eventually in the longer term, right? So keep an eye on this. It doesn't necessarily have to break the low. Any buy setup you start to get inside of the structure here would be a good thing. This did break out there, but it turned out to be just a small flat here and it drops. This is a correction. That can be the impulse. So this one doesn't necessarily is going to break the low. Start looking for your buy setups early. It's there. This could break the low. This one already breaking the low, but this also looks, you have a 1, 2, 3 here. I don't think this is this one is pretty sharp at the top there. This one went the back, sorry, all the way back to the top. So if it breaks the low, we'll probably assume it's making a running flat or it's the end of the structure. It doesn't matter. Once it breaks the low, start looking for a buy. What does the daily structure look like in it? That doesn't exist. That week doesn't exist. That it's only in this one you have it. So once it breaks the low, it's coming back to this level. Yeah, start looking for your buy setup. Right? I don't know if this is all the chart. I don't have it, but this is more very corrective here. So at some point, this starts to go back up. Let's see this link. This is the one I was in, closed. See? Closed it. That is the break of the top. I was supposed to get out at this level. Somehow they took me out earlier, but it doesn't matter, which is good for me, basically. We make a new low, buy back again. Same process. You're only looking for the buys because what you're waiting for is not this small trade. You're waiting for the possibility that they could repeat this, right? This could be all the correction. And this could at some point go back up, back to the top there. I do repeat of that with all this climb, climb, climb. Now, even if they don't do that, they'll probably just come here, make a bigger correction, come back low, and then go. So every time they come to the low, you can buy. I think it's going to be the same for all of them. Just wait for them to break the low and go. Push the new one, or you're going to see exactly the same thing. Right? As a matter of fact, this one we anticipate this could come down back, but not all the way to break the low. But if it breaks the low, we'll just assume that's 1, 2, 3. This is a deep correction we're going. and all of them has the same thing. XRP, this one is still a running flat. This could still be a running flat, which means one up, two down here, three there, drop again. So it doesn't mean that these up move will be the up moves that go. These could still be running. A number of them has running flat. This one has a running flat. I think this one has a running flat pattern in the making. Yep. And this one has a running flat pattern in the making. Yep. See, we still haven't got that next impulse up. So what we were expecting is that they would do 1, 2, 3 and then go, but this keeps coming down. So this would have to go back up there, drop, break the low, and then go. But you can still buy that. See, you can still buy that if you get a buy setup. And let's see this. Same here. This one hasn't broken the lows yet. So this could still be just a regular flat, right? That could still be a regular flat, which means you'd be looking for a buy setup from the bottom here, somewhere here to go back up for this impulse. If it does break the low, it just would be a running flat. So it's confusing in that some of them already completed a flat and they're dropping to break the low. That's a new start of an impulse. Those are the better ones to buy. Some of them are running flats, which means there will be an impulse, but the chances are they're going to come back down one more. Some of them have not broken the low, like this one. Right? And it didn't break the top either. So we're still in the consolidation for one more up. It could continue to go, or it could drop again and then go. Now, that's what you know, how patterns will develop. Now, where you take the trade, how you manage the trade is what is important. Let's see, this is doing. This one, I will go to running flat. It's kind of a very weird one, right? Because this was a flat here. See, this was a flat there. Kind of made a flat there, this deep move, and then they drop, make a flat drop. This was a sharp move. I don't think that's all of the correction. So there's a good chance that you might just get one more here, make a running flat and drop one more before you go. What's the bigger picture in this? In any case, the buy setup from the low is a good idea, right? What's the bigger picture? I'm not sure what the hell this is, so we'll have to leave that for if I get a better chart in it. Because that doesn't make sense to me. Let's see this here. This never broke the top. See, we never broke that top. And I don't think that's all the consolidation. If I'm wrong about it, this buy is going to take off like a rocket. Look for a buy setup. And the same you should with his, right? And the same thing here. Right? This one also never broke it. But this one, this is the only one that has a possibility that you've completed a running flat here. You can make an argument that this running flat is complete because this is a very sharp move within that. So if you go with that running flat being complete, then all you're doing is dropping lower. What's the big picture? Pretty much like this. So at some point, you're going to go back up. This one is too sharp to be the correction. So what that is telling us is that we could be stuck here for a longer time, because if this does go back up like this, there's a chance you're going to come back here before you go. All this is going to be is a running flat in the middle here. This one is going to drop back to the bottom here and then go back up. So you're going to be an up move, a big correction, what people like to call the bear market, and then the next up move. So you're not going to be, but these are buy, as long as you're the bottom here, the buy is a good idea. Go for it. I think it's worth going for. Any buy setup you get, take it. We don't have any buy setup. Again, if you're trying to sell it, that's a different story. There are a lot of sell setups you can take short term. We're not going in that. We're going with the possibility that there is an impulse coming, get that impulse. Because that impulse will give you at least 3 to 1, 4 to 1. And then when it gets to the top, you can consider if you want to take any sell setups. If you're trading spot, you might be able to trade it if you don't have it. Like short, done spot trading. I don't think you can do that if you're trading in terms of investments. You'll have to have it to sell. So that's a different story, unless you can use options. So guys, thank you very much. We've just completed everything. It's pretty long. We're going to leave it as one webinar. And for my traders, we're going to continue with this in the next session. So I'll close the room for you to process and see all of you. Take care. Trade with care. Bye.